Hello everyone, Ron for WoodMaxx here today. We're going to do an assembly video, setup, and uncrating of our FM Series Flail Mower. So when you receive your Flail Mower, this is how it's going to show up, crated up, wrapped up. So let's get to unpacking, get all the parts out, and show you how it's done. All right, so the first thing we want to do is cut out our PTO shaft and our suspension weldment. So after you remove your PTO shaft and suspension weldment, all your hardware will be located inside the manual tube here, along with your manual. After we get all the parts unpacked from the crate, the next step is to remove the top of the crate from the base. All right, so the next step, we're going to bolt the suspension weldment on. The suspension weldment here bolts to these outside plates on the Flail Mower. And here's a little tip for you guys. The suspension weldment does not line up perfectly. These brackets are actually adjustable. You can loosen these 4 bolts, and these are slotted so they can move in and out to match up with the headgear. All right, so once you loosen these 4 brackets, it does allow the bracket to move in and out. Once your bracket's loose, go ahead and fit up your suspension weldment using the provided hardware. There's enough hardware for a washer on both sides. All right, now that we got that tightened up, we can go ahead and tighten up our bracket. So one thing I do want to mention, this is our standard version. It does not have hydraulic side shift. If you did purchase the hydraulic side shift, this would be the point where you would want to route your hoses. So in here would be located a hydraulic cylinder with 2 hoses coming off. You want to loosen the bolts that hold the lines on, and we would route them to the left. There'll be access ports here to run the lines out, up the side of the suspension weldment, and then run back through this loop here to your tractor. Next step is to install the PTO shaft. In order to do that, we do have to remove this cover. All we need to do is loosen the 4 bolts that hold the cover on. You don't need to take them out all the way. The cover's slotted to be able to lift off. So in installing the PTO shaft, we have to take special attention to this detent in the shaft. It'll line up with the bolt to hold the shaft on. So in order to attach the PTO shaft, we do have to remove this taper bolt. So we'll get this nut off here. So once you got the bolt removed, just line it up with the shaft. So when installing the bolt, you'll see the bolt has this indent on the one side that needs to face towards the input shaft of the gearbox. When you drop it in, the bolt should just be about sticking up like that. Then you go ahead and insert your nut on the bottom, tighten it up, and you're good to go. Once you get the bolt inserted, you can rotate the shaft to the right freely due to the overrunning clutch to gain access to tighten your nut up. Once your PTO shaft's installed, you can go ahead and reinstall the safety shield. Be sure that all your washers are on the outside. Last step of the process is to fill your gearbox with 1 quart of gear oil. As you'll see here on the machine, there is a tag saying the gearbox must be filled. We cannot ship anything with oil in it. So you want to go ahead and remove your tag. Here's your fill plug here. And again, this is exactly 1 quart. You can use conventional, use synthetic. It's your personal preference. Once your gearbox is filled, go ahead, reinstall your vent plug. Give her a little snug. So a couple final thoughts here as we're finishing up the assembly is bearings on the machine. Our machines come with the bearings pre-greased from the factory. I know some guys want to put grease in no matter what. 1 or 2 pumps of grease is sufficient to be able to do. All of our machines do come with Zerk fittings that do not allow you to over-grease. If you put too much grease in the bearing, it will come out the side of the Zerk fitting. So it's kind of a protective thing for you guys. And last thought is the PTO shaft. Most of the time, you will have to size a PTO shaft to be able to accommodate on the tractor. We've run this tractor on these machines before. We know we don't need to do that, but if you do need some information on that, check out our YouTube channel. There is a full video on there of sizing your PTO shaft and how to go about it. So once you're all set and you're all hooked up to your tractor, we got to remove the mower from the lower pallet. There are 2 bolts through the skid shoe into the pallet that you need to undo to pick it up off. All right, so we got the mower all set up, attached to the tractor. Now it's time to adjust your mowing height. WoodMaxx rear roller for the flail mower is integrated with the skid shoe, so there's no guesswork where it needs to be. Adjustment is made super simple, 4 bolts, 2 on each side. We're gonna set this to the highest adjustment for what we're gonna mow, which is roughly about 3.5, 4 inches of mowing height. So the easiest way to do this is to loosen all 4 bolts, and then you'll take one out at a time and make the adjustment. So we're gonna go down to maximum height. So what I did was take the nuts off the inside. I did drop the front down 1 notch. That allowed me to drop the backside as low as possible for your max cutting height. So we'll just put the hardware back on. So then we'll just take our bolt out the front, lower it to the lowest setting, highest cutting height. Put your hardware back in, put your nut and washer back on, loose. We'll repeat the process on the other side. All right, guys, so we got the mower all hooked up, PTO shaft hooked up, ready to go. We want to set the adjustment correctly for the skid shoes. With the flail mower, you want the front of the skid shoe slightly off the ground compared to the back. That way it helps glide over. And another thing with the top link, when set up, you want to have it adjusted so your top link pin rides about center. That way it gives a little give if the tractor and mower get off plane from each other. That's it, she's ready to go.